appreciate you being honest about your experience with your father, because I think that pretty much anyone who goes off to do something successful externally, all of us and everyone was channeling some sort of internal inadequacy or an internal feeling of not being enough, as you said. And I wanted to ask, when did you first become aware of that you had that feeling of not being enough?
Right.
And how have you helped that evolve in the healthiest way possible? What has been that journey of almost having to live with it because it's there, but not letting it be your guiding light?
Well, you're right. It makes sense, because I think if you use it as the right fuel, it can actually serve as a great motivating factor, right? It can push you, it can, stimulate you to extract the most amount of necessary energy on a daily basis to achieve your goals and to basically live your dream. I think for me, it started really as something that was inevitable as a part of the environment that I was in. I touched upon that a little bit in our conversation 5-6 years ago. My upbringing with several wars and sanctions and embargo and poverty and everything. So, from a very young age, I was basically forced to mature very quickly, because I'm a oldest of the 3 brothers. I have 2 younger brothers. So as an oldest son to my father, I was basically kind of in a position where I had to be informed very early on, particularly the age of 11, 12, when we had that bombing and the war and sanctions, that state that we are in as a family or as people of my country, the situation, the circumstances, my father had to bring it forward to me in a very clear and mature way. So, one of the most impactful moments of my upbringing and my childhood is when he brought 10 Deutschmarks, and I've said this story many times, which is equivalent to $10. And he said, this is all we got for our family of 5, is living in a super small apartment. That's where it hit me. It was like, okay, now I have to take the means in my hands as a 12-year-old boy in whatever way I can. At least what I can do is support my mother, maybe from some of the burden that she has during the day of taking care of my younger brothers. And that's where it also hit me that not having success is not an option. Like, I have to succeed. It's basically a matter of existence, a survival of my family. So I think it started there. And then over the years, it has obviously transformed or evolved into different kind of form. But I think that, and also my relationship with my father, oftentimes because of maybe lack of patience of my father or of people around, because everyone saw that I have a talent. I was coming from Serbia that had no tennis tradition, no tennis culture. We are a nation of team sports. We are definitely a sporting nation. We love sports, but team sports. And at that point, during 90s, it was about survival. People were watching sports, but there was not much support for the sports. It was particularly not tennis, a very expensive sport at the time. I chose the most difficult sport for my parents in most difficult time for our nation and for my family. So oftentimes I wouldn't travel because we didn't have money. And then, obviously, as you can imagine, Tennis Federation didn't have, money to support me. So my father had to go and beg. And then he was also borrowing money from, unfortunately, even some criminals at the time during 90s. And then they would tell him, it's funny story right now, but at the time it wasn't funny, particularly for him. But, he would go and he said, first time I was going to go to United States to play, I was 15 years old. I was going to play like big junior events here, like Prince Cup and Orange Bowl. They're the biggest ones under 16 and under 18. And also, more importantly, I was going with my father, hopefully to get the sponsorship or, get recruited by one of the big agencies, IMGs or whatever. So he went for us for money because we didn't have. So he went to us for $5,000. And so these criminal people that you could borrow money from, because banks obviously would not give it to you. And then they said, he asked them, how much are you in rush? And he's like, listen, I'm asking this money from you because of my son. He's playing tennis. We're going in America. I'll return this money within whatever they agreed on, 1 or 2 months, whatever it is, 3 months. He says interest rate was 15%, but because you're in rush, it's 25. So my father was like, okay, I'll take it because I have no other option. So, and I can only imagine the stress that he was going through and trying to turn this money where people were really car chasing him, shootings in our capital town, stuff that my father went through, to really not only survive himself, but to actually allow all of us to live and protect us, and to allow me to live my dream and to play the most expensive sport at the time for my country is something that I'm eternally indebted. I cannot, there's no money or there's nothing that can return the favor, so to say. So of course, my father is always my hero for that and my champion. But, feeling of not enough because of that stress and what things that he was going through. And then it was hard because he was giving me also a hard time if I wouldn't play well. And it's like, and then I understood, but at the same time, I was afraid. I knew what I have to do, but it's hard for me to deliver it when it's like, okay, you need to win no matter what type of situation. He wasn't telling me that, but that's how it felt. And it felt like that for years. So that's why I say that the success that I have achieved is not only due to my father or my parents or myself, it's also the divine higher force. I strongly believe that there was an intervention, and there still is. There's higher forces in power that were helping me in some of the most difficult moments, in my family as well. I am a man of faith, and I really truly believe in God and the higher spiritual force that intervenes in the most difficult moments if you open your heart, if you pray, and if you believe in it. So I felt it on my own skin. Jay, to be honest, I really don't know how I won certain matches. I cannot explain it. Even with my team, after I would finish a Grand Slam final against Roger Federer in 2019 Wimbledon, when he was a far better player, I saved some match points and I came off the court. All stats were going his way. I won the match. And I just said, and I wasn't playing well. I wasn't feeling well on the court. And I was just like struggling and scrambling and trying to stay out there, stay alive. And I won in the end in one of the most epic finals in history of tennis. And then, I told to my parents and my family and my team, I said, and my wife, I said, I don't know how I won this match. I have no idea. At the same time, I do know deep inside that there's that connection happening, and that there's also that help. So there's a mix of things. It's really hard to explain. Sometimes there's this divine power that really, if you allow it, if you believe it, that really helps you come out of a trouble and achieve things.